check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Welcome to Highly Uncircumcised with Michael Moore and Nichoel Juergens.
What up?
Michael does not have a background today. We're back to the blur, which is also fine. Also, you're in the room where you don't even have to blur. You're in the room with the mannequin, right?
Yes.
You don't have to blur. She's kind of cool. Yeah, that's you said that was me, right?
It's just, I don't know. It's ugly.
Oh,
Ugly. Just
no.
focus on my face. We don't need to focus on the background.
It's Thanksgiving this week. Shall we have an episode on everything we're thankful for in the world?
Oh, you mean today?
Oh, is that a no?
Hey, if you want to talk about things you're thankful for, and I can talk about a couple things I'm thankful for. Hey, why not?
What did you decide to do? Are you going to now hang out with the fam over Thanksgiving? Because if anybody watched the Family Issues one, right, we were considering that, what you're going to do for Thanksgiving.
Was I?
Well, you were saying that you probably weren't going to hang out with family over Thanksgiving, but now
I don't think that was ever. I mean, it could have been a small decision, but yeah, no, we've had a trip planned for a month and a half.
Oh, so you're going to be gone?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Away.
I really like how forthright you are today. This is
I don't
really...
I don't want all these crazy viewers trying to find me, and like, you know, I've already had problems with stalking and
You're right. You're right. I didn't even
stuff,
think about
you
that. I
know.
mean, you know, when people are as famous as you have to think about that stuff. People like me don't think about this stuff, you know?
They come up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're the talent," and you know, they want all these selfies and all these different pictures, and I'm just like, man, I just need to get away with my family, and I really love you guys, but like,
And I
say no
love how
sometimes.
I love how it's not the worry that they'll like come and steal shit from your house when you're gone. It's the worry that they're going to show up where you are because they love you. No, there's no crime. Oh,
there's nothing to take.
We should speak about the crime. Well, the only reason why we know about it because we're no longer convicting these criminals, right? The crime, and I don't know if this happens in other states, but in our great state of California, they raised the limit on how much you can steal from a store before they prosecute or even charge, and it's almost $1,000, right?
Yeah, it's $950.
Since then, there has been a rash of crime, people just walking into stores, taking things and walking out, and the store owners have told the people that they work there to not get in the middle of it. You know, they don't want you to get hurt, and so because of that, now there's these just random whole bunch of them videos of passerbys or people who are shopping who happen to take videos of other people who just walk in a store and take things, even so far as going into a pharmacy inside of a store. I think it was a CVS, and just taking things and just walking out, not trying to do it quickly, not trying to hide your face, because that's the policy. Now you don't have to. I would really like to discuss this.
Sure. I mean, you know, we can discuss that, but that's actually not a new phenomenon. That's actually probably
the limit raised though. I thought it used to be like 200. Now that it's 1,000, isn't that?
It's been $1,000. I was talking to a Glendale police officer probably 5-6 years ago, and he was telling me about this issue where people would just come into the mall and literally pick up something and walk out because they knew that they couldn't be arrested. I actually think it's more indicative of a slow news cycle and them not really having much of anything to talk about outside of, you know, the couple of trials that have been going on, and they can't even really talk about COVID all that much anymore because it's just like, it's literally like they could just press repeat every day on the same information. So it's just another thing to have something to talk about. But this is not new at all.
Well, I just noticed in California. So, and you're probably right. It's probably just new to me. I just noticed in California at what's the open air mall, the big fancy one up in Hollywood.
Oh, the Grove.
Yes, that just happened. They just got hit, and now the last couple that I saw, there's a Nordstrom somewhere in California that got hit, but it was like 30 cars. They came in. It was like professional hit, right? And so I heard it just happened at the Grove, and so to me it feels like it's happening a lot. Maybe this is just like a holiday season thing that they do every year, but I don't understand. Do you understand how it works? So do these people who literally their faces are on camera, just taking
Well, a lot
stuff?
of them were still trying to conceal their face. Like they had masks and hoodies and all that kind of stuff on. So they weren't just like the way I look right now or something like that. But essentially it's like they just took a page out of the flash mob playbook. They literally just get together on social media and basically say like, okay, we're gonna hit this place, wherever this place may be. And I'm sure I hope they use some kind of coded language in some way, shape, or form. But it's essentially it's just overwhelm and commandeer and run. So the one that you're referring to, they literally pulled like 30 cars up in front of this particular store. Everybody got out and ran in, and no security guard or employee is ever going to try and like get in between that. I mean, that defies common sense. I certainly won't.
That one is actually more professional. I assume they stole more than $1,000 worth of stuff, right? Like that's actually
it's $1,000 per person.
Okay.
So it's not if you and 30 of your friends get together to steal $1,000 worth of stuff. It's literally $30,000 worth of stuff, because you don't go to trial unless they're doing some kind of RICO thing or something like that. You don't go to trial and stand trial with your counterpart. You stand trial for yourself. So,
So here's my question about all of this, and I don't know if you know, but so not in that case, maybe because they had masks, but I'm trying to search on Twitter to find, I've watched like 4 or 5 of them of just people just walking in stores and taking stuff and just walking out. There's people who are filming people who are just putting stuff that they just stole in their car, right? And they have their picture and they have their car and they have their license, but literally nothing ever happens to these people. Nothing.
So no, and that's a huge misnomer. And again, I think that's part of the narrative that the news would try and have you believe, because they want to sensationalize the whole thing. The policy does not preclude you from suffering legal consequences. The policy is just that the store will not waste the police time by calling them and having them come out for I believe it's actually technically $950 worth of merchandise or less. But if you are filmed like the ones that you're talking about, and I've seen a couple where people are just doing these slow moving, burglaries or whatever. Yes, 9 times out of 10, or maybe even 10 times out of 10, you won't get arrested then and there. But cops certainly go to people's homes or wherever they know that they can find them, because there are serial offenders at this, by the way. Like, so there's certain businesses that literally know specific people that continue to come in and do this. Wow. And so they actually do work with the police, and the police end up arresting them. And obviously there's all kind of video evidence at that point to support being arrested. But it's not as, the way I understand it, and I've never been a part of this in any way, shape, or form, of course, but the way I understand it is simply the law was designed to not waste valuable police resources by rolling cops out to stores and having them file reports and take reports and file reports, because all that stuff is very time consuming for police. I mean, half their job is actually paperwork. And so anyway, and I think on some level it is backfiring, but I think
for sure. I mean, that's how I feel. I feel like when you say it, I mean, and I'm not saying it against you, I'm just saying what I hear you're saying is that, so we want to save the cops time, but I feel like, isn't that why we have them? Because if we allow this, if we, right, it seems like Well, it happens to stores enough. They're number one, they're going to pass the cost on to us. So number one, it hurts us in that way. We have higher prices for things, so they're just automatically going to charge more for us by allowing people to steal shit. Number two, it makes areas less safe. Number three, at some point, if it got bad enough, I would assume stores would just shutter. Like they would just shut down. Like, well, fuck this. And this area is too bad. Like I hear in San Francisco, a couple of stores have done that. Again, that's just anecdotal. I don't know for sure. I don't have a news story to point to. I've just read that. So I wonder what it is that made us come to this decision that like we don't want cops to do that. I mean, I feel like that's what I want cops to do. Like I want cops to stop crime, right? Like
I guess, but theoretically, if you've heard the saying sometimes there's never a cop around when you actually need one, kind of thing, right? And so theoretically, if a cop is at Walgreens, filling out a report because somebody walked in there and jacked whatever, then that cop is not available if you're being assaulted on the street. And then you have to look at it, well, obviously, which is the more critical crime at that point, and maybe even in its totality, which one is the more critical crime? I personally think that, honestly, these major cities and maybe even local or smaller cities just need to hire more police. Like, I'm not a defund the police guy in any way, shape, or form. I don't believe in defunding the police. What I do believe in is much more education, much more training, much more hands-on experience with the community. And when I say hands-on, I don't mean arresting people. I mean literally spending time in the community and getting to know your community that you're policing and getting the community to trust you. I am not a defund the police guy. I think even the whole name defunding police was a terrible marketing strategy for whoever decided.
Yeah, we talked about that. That was one of our first episodes.
Yeah, it's a horrible strategy. We need more police. We just need more good police of all races, genders, whatever. And I think that's what will mitigate a lot of this nonsense, because it really is nonsense. It's young people that are taking advantage of, at least in the short term, what they feel will be a consequence-less scenario. And there's always consequences. There's always consequences. If anyone is dumb enough to think that businesses are just going to consistently let you take $1,000 of merchandise out of their store without some sort of reprisal, even if they just start turning into like just straight up vigilantes and arming themselves.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, the more I saw these, I was like, ooh, we're gonna have some Batmans out here, like for sure.
For sure. Money is too important. Money is way too important in America for any business owner to let somebody just consistently take $1,000 out of.
I was also thinking when you were saying about the cops, it's like, maybe instead of all this, defund the, like maybe it's just a reinvention, which I think obviously all of society maybe needs right now. But if all their time is taken up with paperwork that they don't want to do, why don't they have a specific position that handles the paperwork, right? Like, one project coordinator with 5 cops, and that coordinator does the paperwork, right? They talk to the people, and then a cop can be a cop. I don't know, I'm just spitballing, but if that is their, what's it called when you get stuck in a certain place, that's
bottleneck.
Yes, if that's their bottleneck, then work through that. If they're hired to be cops, then why are half the time they're doing paperwork? They don't fucking want to, and they're not good at it.
I'm certainly convinced, even if it's just me convincing myself, there are 100 different things you could do to streamline and make policing more efficient and better for them and for us, because it needs to be better for them as well. I mean, it's there's a lot of tough scenarios that cops find themselves in. I personally think one piece of low-hanging fruit that would be easy is figure out a way to differentiate mental health calls and criminal calls. Don't send cops to talk someone off the ledge, because sadly, cops are just going to cop, and a lot of times that means they're going to end up, using force, and force, sadly, a lot of times ends up in death.
Kill the person they were trying to prevent from killing
exactly themselves. You should, I called the police because Esther was trying to kill herself, and then they end up killing Esther because they feel scared. I mean, it literally, this happens, and it's not funny. It really, that happens. People literally, there are calls where people literally will say, like, hey, come, my brother, my wife, my husband is getting ready to kill themselves, or da 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 da. Please don't kill them. That's not a scenario that cops need to find themselves in. They need to have divisions of police departments that are just so, and there are numbers to justify it, especially in a city like LA or San Francisco or New York or Chicago or Miami. Any of these big cities are going to have the number of mental health crises calls to justify having a division that is dedicated to mental health. And once the narrative of who cops are, or what they're about, begins to change, then the community itself starts to change. I can tell you right now that I get a little warm and fuzzy feeling when I see videos of police officers like dancing with their people in the community, like at parades and stuff. I mean, I just think it's like the greatest thing ever when I see cops actually just looking human, and it's not the militarized, run and gun kind of look. We need a softer, gentler police force. And again, we've had the talks about cops and sort of what's led to certain things like George Floyd and all that. We've had those conversations, but I'm a believer that most police officers, a good number of police officers, are good people, with a badge or without it. They're just good people, and a lot of times I feel like they find themselves in scenarios that they are honestly just not equipped to handle, because again, most of those scenarios equal somebody's mental challenge. We really need to start having a serious conversation in this country about mental health, because it's become very clear that the nation's psyche is damaged for whatever reason. I don't know if they're just putting something in the water, or genetically we're just mutating. Yeah, we're just mutating, and people are just getting strange, or what. But I mean, there's just so much mental health problems out there. Maybe just for so long everything was just going undiagnosed or unacknowledged,
Yeah, I mean, and also just the times we're in, and the access to the massive amounts of information, and the way the information is. I mean, there's just so many factors on top of it. Plus, just the rising number of people. I think you said something really interesting that obviously I really enjoy, is that cops knowing their community. I think just the idea of community, like you and I talk about, we lost it. We live in these big cities, but we don't live in communities. We don't know anybody. We feel isolated from everybody. We isolate ourselves from everybody. We don't look at people. We don't smile at them. We don't talk to them. We don't say hi. We don't know our neighbors. We don't fucking know our cops, let alone our neighbors,
So check this out. I have what I think is a cool little story. So long story short, me and my dad built this Mustang. It was a 1973 Mustang muscle car. Years and years and years ago. I was literally in high school when we built this car. After he passed, I took the car, restored it, built it back up. It was beautiful, whatever. Okay. My license plate said Dad and Mike, right? So I got personalized plates after he passed away. I was driving down one of the local freeways, and I must have been doing about like 85. I mean, I was definitely breaking the speed limit, but it wasn't egregious. I wasn't doing 100 miles an hour, whatever. And so I get pulled over. Cop pulls me over. And he walks up to the car, and he's like, got this real serious look. And he's like, he's Mr. Tough Police Highway Patrol, whatever. And I was like, what can I help you with, officer?
What the problem is?
He was like, He's like, you know how fast you were going? I was like, yeah. And I have this problem with telling the truth a lot of times, especially when I'm talking to cops. I don't know why. Like, my first instinct should have been to be like 65. But I was like, oh, I was probably doing 85. He's like, yeah, you're doing 86. That's a great little guess you made there. And I was like, oh God, I was thinking, damn, speeding ticket. So then he looks at me and he kind of cracks this grin and he goes, are you Dad or Mike? And I was like, I'm Mike. And he was like, cool, man. He was like, listen, I didn't pull you over to give you any kind of ticket. I just left this car and I really just wanted to see under the hood. Do you mind if we just lift up the hood and just take a look? I was like, yes, you take all the time you want. And he literally, we just sat on the freeway and he's sharing stories about him and his dad building cars and this kind of thing. Well, the point of telling you that story is he literally softened my heart towards highway patrolmen. Because even before that, I was really like, highway patrolmen are dicks, man. I mean, they're not, I've never had an experience where they pulled me out of a car and wanted to beat me or anything like that, but they certainly just never seem to show any like grace. You're like, I can't talk myself out of a ticket to save my life. But this dude really just, older white guy, he just really made me feel like, you know what, wait a minute, these guys are human. And that really got me thinking about how special the relationship between police and community really could be if your community just trusted you, right? If they just trusted you. And I know there's probably a lot of people out there saying, well, people should trust the police. Well, you gotta talk to different people from different communities to make that decision. But the bottom line is, I've seen cops be I think they've had much more profound effects on community actually just engaging with the community rather than engaging with the community like, tough guys. Bigger and better changes have been done, not by arresting everybody on the street, but more finding out why they're on the street. What's going on, community basketball leagues, community bowling leagues. I don't care, just something to bring people together. I know like one of my neighbors. So I know it's tough even for just regular citizens to get to know the people in their community, right? And the police have probably a much higher burden, but it is what it is. It would just be so, society could be a lot more harmonious, I think, if the steps were taken.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, I agree. I think that's kind of indicative of everything, not just cops, right? Like, I was just talking with my daughter this week because she is like yelling at her brother because she is annoying, right? He's her little brother. And I'm like, have you ever heard that saying, like, you catch more bees with honey, And I'm like, you and I will have to work on this because, obviously I have that problem too. I'm like, oh my God, when you're so stupid, I just don't have time for you, like you and I will work on this, Mia. Like, but it's true. I mean, getting to know somebody means you understand them, means accept them, means that, then they can really just do their job, which is, hey, dude, you're doing something wrong now, like, stop. Instead of just like, oh, everybody, I'm going to shoot everybody. And, it's indicative of all of society, right? It's where everything is going. It's like, you don't want this militarized, restricted society you have to live under. Like, you want to feel like you're home, like the people around you, even if you don't know them well, you feel like you trust them and they accept you, and we're all doing the jobs that we're meant to be doing. And we've gotten so far away from that.
Yes. And by the way, just touching on that whole defund the police thing, if you really look at the numbers and you look at polls that have been taken since that's been a big thing over the last year or two, since, the crazy summer of 2020, 99% of people in any race and all genders do not agree with defunding the police. That is a just extreme, probably far left narrative. That's not something that regular people want. There is almost nobody you can walk up to that would say, yeah, I want less police out here because, hey, it's safe. No, that's not the case.
Well, and I think too, I don't think that whoever really thought of that movement. I like the ideals of the movement. I like the ideals of not necessarily taking from the police expenditure. I understand what they're saying. We took all the money from our city's recreation. We took all this away and spent it all on cops. Well, that's like, you know, a policy and a governmental decision that you don't have to do. We have plenty of fucking tax money. Trust me. You know, everyone's worrying about billionaires and trillionaires. Look at our own fucking IRS and how much money they have from our tax money.
And that's not
those,
even a government organization.
those are the things that we need. We do need those rec centers. We need those local things that keep kids out of trouble. And I understand that for sure. Like, you know, those shouldn't be taken away. Those are we're taking more of that in order to build a police force, but that's a policy decision. We can have both, you know, and the hope is that if you have that recreation center and you have those activities for kids, that they don't end up needing more police for them, right? I definitely understand that, but also for those who think, okay, well, just defund the police, I don't think they really understand that, like, getting rid of the police doesn't make crime go away. You know, it doesn't. So what's going to happen? Well, now they're going to call in what's it called? The armed guard or whatever, right?
National Guard.
Now you end up having like a nationalized police system. You think that's going to be better? You think you want to know your cop now? You're not going to, I mean, it's going to be terrible. Like, it's not, it doesn't seem to me that it would really work that way, right? I think it would only get worse.
So here's the thing. I don't agree with defunding the police according to what most people think the definition of defunding the police means. If you actually look into defunding the police, the actual movement is a very intelligent, well thought out plan. And what it really means is reconstruct policing again. So you would dedicate more money to educating police officers, to training police officers, to helping police officers to recognize when you're in the face of, again, a mental health crisis as opposed to a criminal activity that's going on. So in that sense, I fully agree with defunding the police, except using that phrase, defunding the police, was literally could have been the worst marketing strategy in the history of marketing anything at all. Exactly. Because all you did was just make a bunch of people that are not going to do their own research think, you want to take all the money away from the police so we don't have police, so we're going down the street and there's no police ever? No. For the love of God, no. I'd be like the first person in the street with a sign saying, like, dude, police, please drive down my street. Like, it's that marketing strategy is just horrible. Somebody needs to lose their job. I mean, it's really bad. But I mean, the tenets behind it make a lot of sense if you really look into it.
Yeah, and I think the tenets behind it are a lot of what you were just saying about community before. It's like we need to rebuild community. We need to find a way as we, you know, move towards 8 billion people in the world, and a vast majority of them are centered in major cities, to still find a way to, you know, build community, to, you know, build I don't know, growing together with your neighbors somehow, and, you know, have cops, your local cops and your local firefighters, you know, at events. And doesn't mean people are going to go out. So maybe they have those things and a lot of people just don't, you know, partake in them. Maybe that's the issue. I don't know, but I think it's just like getting back to this idea of community. I was also seeing on Twitter. Have you seen that Dads at School movement? Have you seen that?
I think I've heard of it.
It's really cute. I was trying to find, I wonder if this is the video. Let me look really quick.
Oh, I have heard of that. Yes.
I want to actually get the video. I only see a picture here, but that's not what I want. I want to so they're called Dads on Duty, and it's in Louisiana, but 40 Louisiana dads formed a group to prevent violence. So at their school, they were having a lot of issues. A lot of kids were fighting, and if I can find this video, it's so good and so cute. And they come and they wear shirts. And just, I think just them being there, right? They're being there and they're pounding fists and they're, you know, watching, you know, and making dad jokes, and it fosters community. It's like, oh, hey, you know, now kids, like, they don't even have to probably separate anybody because there's probably no violence now. They're like, oh, dads are here. You know, they're not going to try and do shit with dads there.
Can I just tell you right now that when I was in junior high, I went through a phase of, like, just probably just abhorrent behavior that, no parent wants from their child. And my dad told me, and I believed him, that he was going to come to my school and he was going to sit there with me all day. Can I tell you that I did an absolute about face on my behavior, just believing that my dad was going to show up on my campus? So to actually have the dads there, I can tell you right now, I'm telling you, and no exaggeration, if my dad was at school, I would be the most well-behaved. Like I'd have an apple in my hand every morning for the teacher. Every time the teacher asked a question, I'd be raising my hand. I would ask the teacher, may we be excused for lunch now? Like I literally would just be the absolute opposite person that I was in school in 7th and 8th grade, which was not good. All my children are way better than I was. I was a terror at some point.
Well, that's just the thing. It's again, reinventing, what is community? What is our society? How do, I think we have this great opportunity, maybe with COVID, as much as I've hated it, is to really redesign, who we are. Like, I think we were going to a place of such complacency, just letting life happen and whatever, it's great. And, but I think we found out that, or at least, a lot of us did, that my wind is blowing me, driving me crazy. There's so many, different issues in society that really wouldn't take a lot. Like this dad's at school thing. Okay, I found a video. Let me show you. I haven't watched this specific one, but I just found it on. So hopefully this one's okay. But let me show you here. Can you see this little video in here?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. It's
not many good news stories begin in such a bad news way. It happened last month here at Southwood High School in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Plagued with violence.
Over the course of 3 days,
Another fight.
23 students arrested for fighting.
Massive police response to
But strangely, there hasn't been another incident since. Perhaps in part because of this most unusual crisis intervention team.
Nobody here has a degree in
They're so
school
cute.
counseling. No majors in criminal justice.
No.
Your qualifications are?
With dads. We decided the best people who can take care of our kids are who? For us. What we do.
So Michael Lafitte started Dads on Duty.
We're out doing what we do for our babies.
A group of about 40 Southwood dads who now hang out at the school in shifts.
Let's go.
They got their
Today,
coffee. Oh no. What happened? Come back. Come back. You can do it. You can.
Negative energy that enters the building has to run a gauntlet of good parenting.
What's going on, buddy?
You moving fast. I like that.
I immediately felt a form of safety.
We stopped fighting. People started going to class.
How could that be?
You ever heard of a look?
A look? Dads have the power to do that?
Yes. Not many people know it, but yes.
Let's go, let's go.
But it's not just the firm stares and stern warnings.
Let's make it to class, my son.
It's also the dad jokes.
They just make funny jokes like, oh, hey, your student's untied, but it's really not untied.
They hate it. They're so embarrassed by it.
And it's that perfect mix of tough love and gentle ribbing that dads do so well that has helped transform this school.
The school has really just been like happy, and you can feel it.
Which is why the dads plan to keep coming to Southwood indefinitely.
Because not everybody has the father figure at home.
Or a male, period, in their life.
So just to be here makes a big difference.
Do you think you stumbled onto something here?
Absolutely.
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 Have a good morning.
They'd like to start chapters of Dads on Duty throughout Louisiana.
What's up, baby boy?
And hope to eventually take on the country.
All right.
Without a fight. Steve Hartman, on the road in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Yeah, I mean that's like the greatest thing ever. I would totally participate in something like that if it was necessary at like one of my kids' schools or whatever. Or even at just any school. I mean, I would do that for sure.
I think it would be beneficial at every school, to have, oh my God, my dog just went outside and dug, and now he's on the couch on my white blanket. You little shit. His feet are all
the
full
dogs
of mud
can go outside like
by
you have a
themselves.
doggy door or something?
Just leave the door open, the back door.
Oh.
So
well,
he's
dogs just
literally,
gonna
I
be
wish I could
dogs.
show you this. His paws have mud on them, and he's laying on a white Afghan that my grandma knitted. He's like, what the problem is? This is what I do.
You
know, little shit.
I don't know if you know this, but dogs are gonna be dogs.
That's why I love them. You know, they're just
Dogs are
happy.
just
Y'all
gonna
know he just came in running through the door. He's like, yes, I was digging. This is so great. I was like, oh my God, you little shit. But yeah, we need more of those programs. Like I feel like also, you know, thinking about, I'm trying to think of my Thanksgiving thing and be positive this week, is that you know, the good thing that one of the good things that came out of COVID for me is just reconnecting with my family life. You know, I mean, I've always been a good mom. But, you know, I had the work all day, and then, you know, so the nanny would be with the kids. I'd still have like 2 hours at night with them, but just spending all day with them, being more like the nanny would do their homework with them. And now I do their homework with them. We, you know, we plan out for the week. All those little things that I didn't do that I didn't think I needed to, but I think really matter, you know, and I'm appreciating that about my new life that I am in after COVID. I think it matters so much more than I realized, you know, like a lot of us, right? You know, we get so stuck in this work loop and we got to make money and, you know, but it's not really what's important, you know?
Well, I definitely can second that, like, all the way, because I think the moment I knew that things had transitioned in the relationship with me and my kids is like, they would start coming to me, asking me stuff that normally they would just automatically go to their mom for. And I was just like, oh my God, I've become like a stay-at-home dad.
You become
this
there,
is
but
great.
I know, but I think there's something, there's something good. I think we went too far, I think, you know, in this idea of this ideal thought of what we needed. You know, we needed all this money and all this work and all, like, you know, but I think, at least for me, like I didn't realize, like, it's so much better not, you know, it's so much better really building that family, all those family values that everyone preaches, and you're like, whatever. Like, I think it is great. I think that we do need more of that. It starts all there. I mean, once you have, like, oh, now my dogs are literally playing on my desk. Oh God. Okay. You know, a lot of stuff is solved when you have a basic and a good start. Are you laughing at me? A basic and a good start, you know? Yeah. So yeah, I would love the idea when we start our village, you know, we have one cop, you know, when it gets big enough, we're all going to know his name. He doesn't really have much to do. It's going to be like did you watch the movie Sonic? The guy, when he's trying to, you know, he has nothing to do. He's in like in the middle of nowhere. He's like trying to, he uses his radar gun to, like, there's nothing to even radar. And he like gets a turtle. He's like, whoa, slow down, buddy. He's like, you're moving kind of fast. It'll be like that. I mean, there'll be nothing to do, but we would have one cop, you know?
I was trying to think what I want to be that one cop. And
I mean, you might as well, because you won't have to fight any crime. You just have to, you know, go talk to everybody.
If I don't have to tackle anyone, or, you know.
Oh, sometimes you might have to tackle, like, you know, you got to keep the kids that are, you know, playing in the trees and out in the woods. Like,
I was actually thinking it might be you,
not
like, coming out of a bar or something in the village.
Well,
bar.
It might be that, but it might also be that you have to pick me up at 1 a.m.
I wasn't even thinking about kids. I was thinking about the Nichoel problem. He's a town nuisance. The founder is a town nuisance.
That's why I hire you to, like, keep me in line.
Every call would be like, Mike,
Nicole, you know where she is. She's down at the bar. Get her. Just
starting
get her.
Fights.
Talking about COVID again, and nobody wants to hear it.
I would literally resign my job to you as the head of the village. I'd be like, you know what? I can't really police you anymore, so I quit. No, I think you know, police should be pretty much applauded, you know, for just their wanting to serve. I mean, I admire that. And really, they should be given all the tools to be the best they can be at their job. And I really think it just comes down to education and training, not guns, not more guns. I mean, they need to be armed, but more guns and more bullets is not the answer to building up a community.
Well, 100%. And I think education is always long-term the best thing for society, all aspects of society. I 100% think so. You know, you don't see immediate results, but you see long-term, you know, a decade from now, you see like how it all matters. I think we talked about that in the defund the cops when they were showing some of the education they were doing. And this was for a group in Minnesota, which had a lot of issues. Right. And it was basically like militarized training, like fear and always be ready, have your gun. I'm like, holy shit. Like, if this is the kind of training I got, yeah, I'm gonna fucking shoot everybody that, you know, gets in my space. Like, you can't do that. Like, that's, you know, what kind of, it all starts with the first question with everything else. Like, what kind of society do you want? Is that what you want? Like, that's what you, like, just scared of everybody all the time. Like, oh my God, pull a gun on you.
They could literally take those two first letters off of defund and make it fund police and fund police in terms of, again, education, training, and people would be all on board for that. So you could actually go into you could go into everything that you wanted from the police by just literally taking the D out of fund and then literally list all the different principles and tenets you want to change in terms of policing. And like, you're going to get, like you were telling your daughter, you're going to catch more fly or bees with honey, right? So the defund really just repels most people because they're like, that's stupid. We need police. And if you just said fund, you could tell them like, dude, we need police to do 100 push-ups every day. And people would be like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. I mean,
well, instead of defund the police, it should have been like fund your community, fund your city. You know, like, I think the idea was that they didn't want this, you know, it seems like policy wise or from the news that we receive that more and more of our city or county or state funds are going to increase our police departments. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but anecdotally from reading things, it seems that way, where and less and more is being taken from city and county departments. Now, again, that's policy decisions. It doesn't have to be either or, but if they said something like, you know, fund our cities or build our community, or instead of defund the police, that would obviously include police and education measure and whatever. And also, you know, yes, we want this recreation. We want these programs for our kids. We want building community, and police are a big part of that. Instead of, you know, taking them away, making them, you know, if the training, making them, your training would be good, right? You can get out and meet your community, you know, have an event, doesn't the firefighters have like chili cook-offs or something, you know, like plan something every single month, once a month for your community, right? Like, it'd be great.
I mean, yeah, it's actually amazing how one minor change in a word or phrase could make all the difference in the world. I mean, it's funny, and maybe this is like way too controversial, and maybe some people are going to hate me after I say this, but I have always had this thought since the Black Lives Matter movement started a couple, 2-3 years ago, whenever it was. And I started seeing all the everything pop up. It went to all lives matter, white lives matter, blue lives matter, you know, every life started to matter. And I thought, this is just my analytical, controversial mind. I was like, and as much as I believe Black Lives Matter, right? I was like, if you just added the word to the end of that statement, that would diffuse all of because really everyone who probably didn't give a shit about Black people or anybody else just used it to be like, oh, well, you just think your life is worth more than mine, and you could have diffused all of that by just saying Black Lives Matter too. I kind of think I need to go into marketing. I really kind of think I might.
Hey, you know what? Both of your programs already perfect. You missed your calling. You should go into like city planning. You know, that's where. There you go. They actually have that, right? They have
city planners, but those guys. Never mind. I was gonna try and figure out what they do, because my brother used to actually talk to me about.
I assume, but I don't know. But I assume they actually go into considering how to, you know, build out your city, what recreation, what, you know. I assume, but I could be completely wrong.
But I think it's actually physical stuff too, like literally, like construction and all that kind of stuff, which I have nothing to do with. But anyway, yes, I understand what you're saying. So I think that, again, I just think that sometimes if you just would tweak your message just a little bit, you would catch way more bees, way more. Because I've always had that thought, and I've never actually shared that, I don't think, maybe with anyone.
I never heard.
And now I'm sharing it with all our thousands of listeners.
All of our 60.
Yeah, plus thousands. Yeah. At least 3,000 minus
at least
2,936.
Yeah.
But that's how you do it. You just say, hey, it's 1 million listeners minus 999,936 people. So it's a lot. It's a lot. That's why I can't tell people where I'm going for Thanksgiving, because like they would just overwhelm me wherever I go. But yeah, just a little.
It's too bad you weren't on Twitter when Black Lives Matter all came out on Twitter when Black Lives Matter came out, because I bet you could. I bet you could have got that movement changed. I bet you could have been like, guys, listen, Black Lives Matter too. Just add that to the end. I bet you could have done it. It's too bad.
My Twitter life is all you. I follow only you.
I have plenty
and
to
I'm
say.
followed by you. I literally have one Twitter person in my universe.
You would be surprised what you can the change you can affect by just putting your shit out there, putting the truth out there. Well, I mean, it's small.
I'll tweet you later. Black Lives Matter too.
See? Yeah, that's the first I've heard it. And I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like if they'd done that, you can't really argue with it then. All the arguments were, but white lives matter and wow, yeah, but you can't. We're like, yeah, no, we know. That's why we said two.
Because the statement almost just definitively says, I'm not saying my life matters more than yours. I'm just saying my life doesn't matter less than yours. And I think that's what the message of the people who came up with Black Lives Matter wanted to convey.
They really missed the boat.
Valuable.
What's that? They missed the boat. They did. Yeah, they missed the boat.
I mean, it's probably not too late. Maybe it is too late. I don't know. But now, I mean, you got like lizard lives matter, iguanas matter. It's just like, it's become like a caricature kind of thing. I don't know.
Well,
anyway.
It's Thanksgiving week. You're going to somewhere secret, someplace we will not name. Don't try to break into his house because he has
there's nothing to steal.
24-hour round the clock militarized security. I know there's nothing at my house. I leave my house unlocked all day long. People are like, why is your house? I'm like, what are they going to what are they going to take? What are they going to take?
God.
Well, first of all,
TV.
First of all, unless I'm out for a walk, my dogs are here. So, I mean, and good luck, because if you want to be kissed to death, then just try and come in. Like, just try it.
I need a kiss. I need a kiss. You know what? Nicole's not at home.
Her door's open. I'm going in. There's nothing here. Like, literally, the computer that I'm on right now is a Mac. It's 4 years old. And it is probably the most expensive thing in this house. Like, there's nothing. Like,
we have a nice blender. We have a nice blender. My son likes to make smoothies.
I have a $500 blender that's also 4 years old.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Jesus, $500 for a blender?
Yeah, it's what's those ones but they have lifetime warranty. If they ever break, they'll send you another one.
It's not a Ninja, is it?
No, it's 500. It's more than that.
I was gonna say, because I have a Ninja and I don't think we paid anything like that.
No, Blendtec is one step up from Ninja, and I had that before, but this is what is it called? People will know, but we use our blender every single day, like literally Vitamix. If you're making frozen things, like if you're just making liquid, you can use any blender. But if you're actually making like frozen, blend up, we make smoothies literally every day at our house. If you're blending frozen stuff, you have to have a good blender. So yeah, this is expensive. You can get some models for less than $300, but it's lifetime warranty. When we were married, we had a Blendtec, and it's the same thing as lifetime warranty. One time it broke, and they sent us a new one.
When did you say you weren't going to be home?
I'll let you know. You come on in, make yourself a smoothie, Get kissed to death.
I was wanting a new blender for Christmas, so
Like literally, I often wonder this. Like, if somebody came in that the dogs didn't know, like they still wouldn't care. They're like, "Hey, you want to be friends?" Like the only thing that is good for them as guard dogs is people don't know that. You know, they see them, they look like wolves, and so it's scary. But they don't know that they do not guard anything.
you want to hear a fun fact about your dogs, about huskies? I was looking up dogs maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know why. I was just looking up dogs and their
Are you gonna get
aggressiveness,
one?
right?
Is your mom
What's
gonna
that?
get one? Is your mom gonna get another one?
No. I was looking up dogs like I wanted to know what the most aggressive dogs were, right? Because the assumption would be like, oh, a pit bull is like the most aggressive dog, right? Because they got the worst rap as far as like killing everything. But anyway, pit bulls were like number 4, number 5. They weren't high when you consider the 1 out of 10 look, right? But huskies were actually number 9 on like everybody's list. Because I looked at several lists because they kind of deviate, the top 3 or something like that. But all the dogs that I thought were going to be like Rottweilers, Connie Corsos, German Shepherds, right? I thought those would be kind of at the top of the list. Dude, it was like a Chihuahua was number 1 because they freak out the most around people, right? They can't do much damage, but they freak out the most. And then the next one was like another little dog. I can't remember. And then like every time you got to number 8 or 9, it was they're called Siberian Huskies, right? Isn't that what they are? Yeah, Siberian Huskies. Yeah. So
I think all of it is, well, and just like you said, like pit bulls, like they're 4. I think all of it is honestly a matter of how you train. It's I know a Kanye Corso. It's just like the sweetest thing in the whole. Every dog, all those dogs you said that are, you thought would be at top. I know all of them. It's really a matter of how they've grown and how you've trained them. It's very rare for a dog to just all of a sudden lash out and bite somebody or anything else that's been trained and socialized, just like a human being.
That's true what you're saying, but I think a lot of it also was kind of pointing to their sort of instinctual aggressiveness. Like Connie Corsos, for instance, are supposed to be like very territorial, like no matter what. So it doesn't matter if you train them to be like crazy or nice or whatever. If you're not at home, their tendency is to be very aggressive with anyone that's trying to come on what they consider to be their property, right? German Shepherds were like very protective of families. What's that?
Yeah, my huskies would not do that. They're like,
oh,
hey,
yeah,
come on in. Well, and also I was thinking, because you said a lot of the first few ones are little dogs. Well, I was thinking, again, it's how you train. That's another issue. I think I notice this a lot, is that a lot of little dogs are little shits. They're terrible behavior. They're super aggressive. They lash out at other dogs when we walk. It's because I think when people have little dogs, they don't train them effectively because they're small. So they let them get away with things. They let them do things that they would never like I could never let my dogs do, right? Because it'd be too scary, right? Even if they didn't hurt somebody, but if they lash at them and start barking and like do that these little dogs do, where we're just like, oh, that's cute. That we think it's funny. It's not funny. These are behaviors that should be managed, but people don't because they're so small. And I think that's what happens with Chihuahuas. They don't manage these behaviors because it's such a little thing, but you have to. Training and discipline, it has to be part of the routine, no matter what size they are. And I think a lot of adults drop the ball on that with little ones. They just let them get away with it, and then they're a problem. I noticed that a lot. There's a lot of small dogs that are way worse little shits than bigger dogs. The only issue is that, if you get bit, it still hurts, but it's not as, much damage as like a pit bull is going to do, right? Like that's
you mean
the thing.
Gaping wounds that send you to critical care.
Yeah. And also I think, like we say, the media has a major part in really making things way worse than they are. I know 4 different pit bulls, and they're the biggest fucking lovers. That's only my experience. But of course we have this idea in society that they're, and they can be. One of my dogs got bit by one that had always been nice to him before. So anything can happen. And I think if a different dog had bit him, it wouldn't have been as deep, because pit bulls are very strong. So I think that is very scary about them. They have very strong jaws. But to just be blindly afraid of an entire breed, I think that's just something that, again, we brought on ourselves in society. We've allowed it, whereas really it's really, really, really I would say really, really hard to ever just get bit by a dog that has been trained, raised, socialized well. Like the problem is with the people. If your dog is just out there just going to bite somebody.
Yeah, I'm blindly afraid of the entire
All of them,
breed.
just all of them.
If a dog goes past my knee in height, I'm ready to fight.
And by fight, you mean run away, crying.
Exactly. By fight, I mean
Rape. Your dog hurt me. Oh my God, he bit you? No, but he might.
Well, did he actually do anything? Well, is
No.
looking at me considered something?
He looked very dangerous.
I don't even want to be looked at by a dog. Don't even look at me. I'm invisible to you. Like, I don't want to talk to you. You don't have to talk to me. I used to be that way with Sushi. I was like, oh my God, like, why are you staring at me? It's so uncomfortable.
She's like, she's trying to figure you out, like they don't have English language like we do. They gotta use their eyes, and they're so cute. That again, that's another thing. The reason why I was talking about with my daughter, because we're sitting on the couch and we all sit on the couch at night and watch a movie. We snuggle, me and my son and my daughter, and sometimes both dogs. Like the couch is just full, and Mia's like, "Oh, Dax, move down," and she's like kicking him. I'm like, dude, I was like, you could ask him first, like, hey, can you please move? Right? But so then anyway, Sushi wanted to get on the couch. So she comes and Dax is snuggling with me, and Sushi wants to sit right there, of course, because she wants to be right next to me. And so she comes, and so, the couch is here and Dax is on it next to me. And she comes and puts her head on the couch, just staring at Dax, like, just looking at me, like, and just literally for like, he's like laughing, and finally he's like, oh, Sushi, do you want to sit here? Okay. So he moves down. So I was like, see, Mia, you catch more bees. He just stared at her, and he eventually was like, okay.
Can I give you another little fun fact?
Yes.
Regarding children?
Yes.
It's not changing anytime soon.
You're 3?
I have a 17, 15, and 12, almost 13-year-old. And I literally told them this yesterday. God strike me dead if I'm lying. I said, I'm so tired of you people. All of you act like 3-year-olds.
Yes.
Stop touching me. Stop this. Stop that. I'm like, dude, you guys are old. You're like, all of you should be working. Why
don't you have a job?
Why don't you have a place of employment? Go. I literally told them this yesterday. I was just like, oh, I'm so done.
Yeah, no, I think I did that this week too. Like I was like, why are you whining about in the morning? This is my new favorite saying, because in the mornings when they don't have school, so when they do have school, we all have to be up and early. And so when they don't, I want to lay in bed. I want to look at Twitter. I want to play a game on my phone, whatever. So, it's 8:00. I'm still laying in bed. Dax is laying in bed with me, playing his video game, playing Switch, and then tells me to get up and make him breakfast. I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, you know where the food is. You know where the food is. It's like, if you're hungry, get up and get it. And by the way, he's only 8, right? He's thinking, oh my God. But I was like, take responsibility. You do not get to sit here and play your video game and tell me I have to get up. And like, no. It's like, I will make you breakfast when I get up, or you can go take responsibility for but I'm starving while he's playing his video game in my bed. I'm like, nothing I can do.
You got up and made him breakfast. Stop it.
Of course, when I got up, I made him breakfast when I felt like it. You get to boss me around and tell me to get up and make your breakfast while you're laying in bed playing a video game yourself.
I'm with Dax on this one.
Who's gonna make my breakfast? Oh my God, I might starve to death. That's literally, it's like, I'm starving. Like, oh my God, seriously.
That
so anyways,
child.
They are in Arizona with their dad for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to do a lot of hiking for Thanksgiving with my dogs. I'm going to relax.
So you're not actually like going to hang out with anybody?
Yeah, well, on Thanksgiving, I'll have dinner with my dad and friends, and I'm not going anywhere. We're going to go out to dinner. We might go to Ruth Chris, because I've been like wanting to have a filet lately. I think I told you that. I haven't been there in so long. So I think we're going to do that. And then my friend's going to stay over. She has a dog too. We're all going to go hiking the next day. I think that's my Thanksgiving.
Nice. Enjoy that.
Thank you. You too. You enjoy your secret rendezvous where we're not going to tell anybody because we don't want them to show up. So for all of our listeners, also have a great And happy Thanksgiving. And
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
yeah, we'll see you next week.